Evaluating square roots. So let's talk about the squared terms first. There's a little bit of terminology we get confused, and people hear this and they don't really think there's a difference, but there really is. So one thing you hear is they square a number, like take a number and square it. And so that would look something like this, like 5 squared. What that means is you take a number times itself, right? 5 times 5, which is 25. So 5 squared is 25. Okay. Then you hear the phrase, what is the square root of a number, or take the square root of a number? So it's the opposite process. It's the root or the thing that made it. So if I said, what's the square root of 25? I'm asking you what times itself gets you to 25? That answer is 5, right? So when you take the square root, it gets smaller. When you square it, it gets bigger. All right, so we're going to look at square roots, this bottom one here right now. All right, so we're going to evaluate, which means just work it out. So it says, what is the square root of 81? This is kind of hard for people to figure out. You can do like kind of like a factor tree and look for pairs and stuff, but typically what you're going to do is you need to know that 9 times 9 is 81. So you got to think, like, you have to know your math facts. Like what times itself gets you 81, and the answer is 9. Square root of 4, what times itself gets you to 4? 2. All right, got to be the same number, right? 2 times 2. 121, okay? Not as common as 1, but not unheard of. And so 11 times 11 is 121. So you need to just kind of know that. You need to know your math facts. And then you can do a little bit more with this. So in this case, I'm not going to ask myself, what times itself gets me to 20, what times itself gets it to 5. I'm going to follow order of operations. Since it's under the square root symbol, that's kind of like parentheses. So I'm just going to add those together and then say, oh, okay, what times itself gets me to 25? And that is 5. So do any kind of calculations inside the radical symbol before you actually take the square root of it. 45 plus 40, what's the square root of that? First, I'm going to add them together, and I know, oh, 7 times 7 gets me to 49. All right, so next one here, 4 times the square root of 100. So what do you got to keep? First, this is what it really means. 4 times a number times itself that gets me to 100. So that's going to be, the square root of 100 is 10. Then I'm going to multiply by 4, and the answer is 40. So I got to do the square root first. In order of operations, square root falls under the category of an exponent. So this one here, same thing, do the square root, that's a 2, then I add it to the 11, and I get 13. The square root of 81 minus 19, take the square root first, that's 9. 9 minus 19 is negative 10. Square root of negative 5 times the square root of 9. First, we'll think of this as multiplication. Take the square root of 9 first, then multiply by the negative 5, and I get negative 15. Okay. Negative square root of 49. So think of this as a negative times whatever the square root of 49 is, which we figured out earlier was 7. So that's just going to be negative 7. Now, when I do ask you, what is the square root of negative 49? A lot of people have a guess, and it's usually not right. In this case, the answer is undefined. There is no number. FYI, negative 7 times negative 7 is positive 49, right? So I'm asking you, what number times itself gets you to negative 49? And if two numbers are positive, they multiply to a positive. And if two numbers are negative, they multiply to a negative. So you cannot get to negative 49 with two of the exact same real numbers. So as you say, there is no square root, right? There's no answer to that.